Hey, we have exciting times. It's rookies, sleepers, breakouts. Bradley, we have a mock draft that we did. It's been finished. It's good content. It's real-time content. People are all active in this. It was 0.75 Tight End Premium Superflex. I don't know if they got the memo. Let's break it down, how it went. Jeremiyah Love goes 101. I know we teased and joked about it, Bradley. Hey, the 101 could be somebody else. It could be Fernando Mendoza. And now I'm starting to hear there's prospect fatigue that's happening, where people are starting to entertain the idea of Lemon Tate Tyson should be involved, a percentage, a portfolio of the one-on-one. Fernando Mendoza, when you get the landing spot of the Raiders and it's crystallizing with Brock Bowers and maybe a receiver or two who come along. And of course, Ashton Chanty in support, a new offensive system. Hey, it's not necessarily just Jeremiyah Love. We should be rethinking things. We get some prospect fatigue. We get a certain amount of this happened to Tedero McMillan last year. It's happening right now to Jeremiyah Love. Just impressions on that narration that's out there. Is that just boredom, Bradley?
Sometimes there are some ideas so stupid that only people with PhDs can believe them. And sometimes you have people in this industry who are very, very smart, and then they get paralyzed by their analysis. And that's what happens sometimes is you have clearly the number one prospect, Jeremiyah Love, for fantasy. Like, if you want to go the portfolio diversity pathway, be my guest. Just trade down. Like, that's the move.
Yes.
Gain. If you really think this is where you have to think about the market. You can't just say, well, I'm taking a stance and wherever it is, I'm drafting Jeremiyah Love. No, you have to not only, if that's your stance, like you want Carnell Tate 101, you have the 101, trade down to the 1-3 and see if you can get another first next year. See if you can get a second and another quality starting flex to move down to what, like, that's the type of return that makes the difference in your league. If you are really saying, you know what, as an evaluation, I'm just not going to draft Jeremiyah Love. If that's the stance you want to take, so be it. There's a lot of smart people who choose to be out on particular players, but you also have to know the market. And the market is so clearly Jeremiyah Love at 101. And this is like the similar logic that you had used last year. If you wanted any exposure to Ashton Genty, you needed to draft him at 101. But some people were out on Ashton Genty. Oh, he did not play very much against competitive teams, whatever. You can make whatever arguments that you want. I don't think there's very strong arguments against Jeremiyah Love. I'm actually disappointed that John Laub gave him only an A- in his initial running back ranking or review grade. I love John. Shout out to John. He does an amazing job, but an A- is just too low. John Laub, an A- is too low. I don't love that eval of Jeremiyah Love. But that's how you strategize here, Coach. This is the way in which you reap value. Not only do you take up your stance, whatever your player take is, but you also gain value by trading down if you really do want to avoid the Jeremiyah Loves, for instance.
Hey, your league mates don't have to know your sentiment. If you in your head keep it to yourself, right? Carnell Tate, Fernando Mendoza, get the players in that roulette shuffle, the Rolodex of players that you think are 101. If that's the case, market manipulation, manipulate the market where your league mates still think that's Jeremiyah Love. You need to go out there, find an RB needy team, find a team that's deep in draft picks, and profit. And if you're solely looking at somebody like Fernando Mendoza, you want a quarterback, but you have the 101 and you want Mendoza and you're stuck. Trade back. Find a team that's deep at quarterback. Get some picks thrown in. More to your point about, hey, acquire a pick and some starters. Well, look into the position of need. If it's quarterback, Mendoza, you look for, do they have Jared Goff? And you break off a couple ones. Do they have Brock Purdy and a couple ones? There's ranges. Okay, Brock Purdy being a little bit higher than somebody like Jared Goff, but you get the idea. And what would you rather have? Goff and or Purdy plus 2 first-round picks, let's just say. And that might be even coming in light on Jeremiyah Love, but you get that versus solely 101 selecting Fernando Mendoza. You're going to get more war production by selling off that one. So any kind of gimmick where you're at the 101, do not go for the 102 here to the 106 where it's Lemon, the 3 receivers, and Mendoza, which gets me to the next point. Kenyon Sadiq, Coach Retzlaff, wanted to tilt the board, tilt the room, get the angular access to what people are thinking, sharp, 0.75 tight end premium. If there's going to be a max, you talk about min-max in FFPC, right? Well, min-max in these rookie drafts, Bradley, Kenyon Sadiq at the 104, I think would be the max pick. That would be the highest that he would go.
Probably.
Or what do you make of that, Bradley? And how does that shift the higher tight end premium? What's that going to do for you from your perspective into that middle round one?
Yeah, most of the time I'm avoiding the tight end in the tight end premium this early. Once again, we talk about like market value and what the returns have been. Like we think about even Brock Bowers, a Brock Bowers level player. When he was going off, even in tight end premium leagues, we knew what type of player he was. He was going at the 105, 106, 107. That's where he was going. As a result, you're going to. I took Brock Bowers in a league, and I was laughed at taking him at the 105. And like he did fine his rookie year. He did very well. There's reasons for optimism. He pretty much put up the same per game stats that he did in his sophomore year. And did he pay off the 1.5? He will eventually through longevity, but the tight ends are a long-term play. You think about Trey McBride. You drafted Trey McBride probably at the end of the first, beginning middle of the second round, even in tight end premium leagues. He had second round draft capital. These tight ends, it takes a little bit for them to move along. And so you're investing 4th overall pick. You're passing on a potential top 15 pick in Tyson. You're passing on a Superflex starter in Mendoza, right? You look at, Boston is projected to get first round draft capital. There are players here that it's just not. Casey Concepcion, right, is projected first round draft capital. You're passing on projected first round draft capital wide receivers who can fill in a flex. But are you going to get the above replacement value rookie year for a tight end? Even when Kyle Pitts had his breakout rookie year, it was what? 1 touchdown and 1,000 yards. That's not moving the needle significantly above replacement at the tight end position. So yes, like you can take your Kenyon Sadiqs, you can take your Stowers. I think Stowers is someone we should be watching very closely at the combine. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to drafting these tight ends this early, if I want tight ends, I'll trade for them. Because you know what you're going to get immediately that year, and rookie year tight ends are a lot riskier.
Hey, a name that would come to mind that I'd want to acquire right off the rip would be somebody like Brenton Strange versus the high draft capital. I utilize triggering the button at the 104 in here, but real me, in a lot of leagues, I'm like mind of you, Bradley. I'm going to shift, get war value. I'm going to trade down, or I'm going to grow and grab somebody like a Jordan Tyson, Mendoza already there for the Superflex utility. Casey Concepcion, absolutely. You don't have to sell him to me, but I just wanted to do something different in Veer and see what the room.
And you Strange that example, second round draft capital player. Like that's a player that it took, 3 seasons for us to see the breakout, right? First year, round 2 draft capital did nothing his rookie year. Second year, sophomore year, still only 53 targets. But then in 12 games in 2025, 60 targets, like 5 targets a game. You're seeing that now 2, 3, 4 years in. So yeah, you should, if you want a tight end, go trade for the value. That's a great call, coach.
Hey man, love it. Let's hear from the Podfather. Speaking of all these rookies,
rookie draft season is now, and you know that because on Fast Draft we have the Origins tournament. That's right, the first, way too early, all rookie tournament is live. There's a $10,000 prize pool. Start practicing for your rookie drafts and leverage your knowledge of rookies by winning cash. And given that it's close to 50% full, if not already well beyond 50% full, a lot of those drafts included players that actually did not come out. So every draft that happens from here until this thing fills, you're getting positive EV. So go to fastdraft.app, get the app, and sign up with your host promo code for a $50 deposit match, or use code FAST. Fast Draft is the next hot fantasy game, so get out there and start drafting faster.
Hey, love it. There's essentially overlay. It's not true overlay, but it's effective when you have somebody like Trinidad Chambliss, who it was announced he won his court case, and it looks like as of today he's going back to the NCAA.
You think the NCAA is gonna not appeal?
We'll see. It just as of right now,
it's a whole saga.
It's like Michael Scott. Sip snap, sip snap. All right, I want a vasectomy, and then you change your mind. Sip snap, sip snap. That's really what's happened there. And you see, as he was selected in this round 1, you just got to cross that out, strike through feature that you would do on a Word document, right? Yes. But let's talk about some overarching wins and thoughts on David Boston. And he goes 111. And then I think this is our good friend Dustin. Emmett Johnson double tap with Mike Washington. Mike Washington catching a lot of steam. And Emmett Johnson, to me, is a mid-first round pick player who I think he's just sitting at the end there and just like, hey, I'm just firing off. A lot of truncation and push movement steam with Mike Washington from Arkansas. What do you make of this double tap?
You know, it really depends on whether Emmett Johnson and Washington, whether they get the draft capital. I think that's what's really going to be the linchpin for many of these non-Jeremiyah Love running backs. Like, are they going to get early? Because I don't know how many are projected to go in round 2, but are they going to get early round 3 draft capital? That could give a lot more credence to the back end of the first, right? End of the beginning of the second, even tapping into the end of the second. Because once you get into round 3, like, day 3 draft capital is fine. You can take your shots on your guys, especially at running back, because all they need is a good landing spot. Like Kyle Manungai, that was really nice. You know, a player that was day 3. You drafted probably at the end of round 3, in round 4, maybe round 5. Just depends on the room that you were in. But that's my approach overall to these running backs, and I think that's what's going to be the deciding factor here for Johnson, for Washington. If Johnson gets like end of round 3 draft capital, like a Blake Corum or a Trey Benson, that's more of an eyebrow raise. Like, that's a concern that he gets Caleb Johnson. You know, that's where we have to be worried about. Well, the NFL weighted 90 picks, right? And that's where you shouldn't be investing in a running back at the end of round 1. It's the Roschon Johnson corollary, right? Where you have reasons to think that this player could be really good in the NFL, but he doesn't get resounding draft capital. And even if the opportunity is pretty nice, maybe the opportunity actually isn't that nice, because we thought Trey Benson could just overtake James Conner. We thought Blake Corum could just overtake Kyron Williams. We thought Caleb Johnson would just overtake Jalen Warren or Kenneth Gainwell, right? That's the point, is you don't it's a real damning feature of these end of round 3 running backs, beginning of round 4. That is a major, major mistake that you want to avoid if you are drafting in the rookie drafts to take a running back at that spot because maybe you need running back. Maybe you like that's the play. No. You take your tight end at the 112. You take your starting quarterback. Clearly, if there's a nice landing spot that one of these quarterbacks gets, or they're pegged as going to be the starter, like that's where you want to tap if the draft capital is not there for the running back.
Man, I love it. And I'm so into some of the other draft modes where I've been doing startups and underdog. Mike Washington went 212. It wasn't the double tap. I'm forgetting
okay.
the linear, but the point remains to what we were saying. But great on Dustin there. Still, I think Mike Washington, I've seen him go towards the 2-2 and 2-3 in some of these mocks, right around Jadarian Price, who went 2-1 in here. What do you make, though, Bradley? Omar Cooper, Elijah Sarrat, 2-2, 2-4. Been talking with Johnny, Emmett, Evan, and Chev. Sorry, Emmett Johnson's in my head. Evan and Chev and Podfather about different rankings, where we want to put Omar Cooper, where we want to put Elijah Sarrat. The market's all over the place. A lot of sentiment and hype right now, and maybe a little louder sentiment and more attention on X Streets is out there for Omar Cooper. Great blocker. To me, he's very NFL ready. And Elijah Sarrat, very dutiful at what he does. Chev astutely pointed out Cooper and Sarrat swapped roles from 2024 to 2025. Yes. So a lot of good that you see in Cooper in 25 is what Sarrat did in 24. And snip, snap. It just keeps flipping back and forth with the Indiana wide receivers. I think we're going to see a theme, be it Roman Hemby, the players at Indiana buy in, and they're going to get to the NFL, and we're going to be like, oh, damn, they're even better than they were in college. These guys are right. These guys are NFL ready from the jump. So what do you make of market price, Cooper, Sarrat? Is this fair here, 2-2, 2-4?
Cooper and Sarrat both projected second-round draft capital. Cooper right now on mock draft database not only is overall rank 44th, so like mid second round, but he is trending up significantly. Like the mocks are continuing to rise ever since the beginning of January. He's risen from, let's say, like about 95 to about 44. That's just massive. Like it's a line, like it's a slope. The algebra teachers are proud. Some of them are going to be using it as example problems in their math classes. But Sarrat still at 54 is a respectable draft capital. At the same time, this almost is the end of third, beginning of fourth round corollary for running backs. Because you have wide receivers who, like Elijah Sarrat, who are good. They do really well in college, but they don't get the draft capital because a team will see something in them that's holding them back, right? And the mocks have actually leveled off a lot since over the same time frame as Omar Cooper. Like Elijah Sarrat has gone actually from 40th overall, or Elijah Sarrat about 40th overall since the middle of January to now we're in the middle of February, and he's at 54. So the concerns are that you have Sarrat, who's like level out. You have Cooper, who is ascending. And I want to continue to see Cooper ascending because that means he could hit back end first round draft capital, which would be delicious. That would be nice. I'm concerned that there's not been a reason for Sarrat to be rising. So if I'm reading how these mocks are moving forward, yeah, Sarrat could be left in no man's land, like an Elijah Moore or Rondell Moore.
Oh man, that's painful.
Right? And that's what we want to avoid. They're lost, they're caught in no man's land. Like, are we sure that Elijah Sarrat is going to not only get the landing spot, but also is going to get the investment from a team that is going to lead the team to make him part of the game plan, like the 1A of the team, because that's what's going to move the needle for us for fantasy.
You don't want to get Jack Fetched.
No, exactly. And unfortunately, Elijah Sarrat could fall outside of round 2. Like, he's closer to getting outside of round 2 than trending toward round 1. That's why right now I'm leaning Cooper.
We'll see what happens with the NFL Combine.
Sure.
Just so interviews are just right. And of course, I know the scouts are going to be salivating to talk to all the Indiana players, anything that's coming out of Indiana, just like what happened with Nick Saban. A lot of good things that were laid for the foundation are being built in Indiana. You love to see it for them. But let's go for impressions for the rest of the rounds. Later in round 2, I got to point out that I love Michael Trigg, 211. I'm getting very hyped up for him. Justin Jolie goes 3-7. They're the 2 tight ends right now. I see Jolie as a little more raw, and I see Hunter Henry, Patriots, learning, being around Drake May, a huge boost. And then the Bengals, later in the draft, getting Jolie would just be such a hype. I think he would be what Elijah Arroyo people wanted with the Seahawks. I think that's what we would get with Justin Jolie, but that would have to be a nut landing spot. I love Michael Trigg, though. 6'4", 240. From film, he catches passes in tight windows. It's crazy. That ball is just fired in there, and he's catching high-impact receptions. The contact is there, and he's ready for it. I'm excited to see him at the Combine and the gauntlet drill, sled drill. I want to see anything where he can push and drive. He's a move tight end. Those are the allegations on him. 70% slot, 30% in line. But his wingspan is wild. I think it's going to be a joy to watch the quarterbacks throwing to Michael Trigg, because you're going to be like, oh, damn, this guy's got wings. And there's a toothpaste tube moment for me. One-handed catch versus Kansas State. It looks like that old NFL commercial. Remember where the guys, like, they jumped through the car and made the reception. Then the other guy busted his hand through a wall and caught a ball. It was like those hyper skilled NFL player commercials. That's what Michael Trigg's reception reminded me of. So, Bradley, anything in round 2 before we head to round 3 that really catches your eye?
You know, unfortunately, we won't see Singleton at the Combine because of the fractured foot. So this might be a player where I'll buy a dip. Like, I want to see him fall into round 3. Like, I do want to see like, I want to see both Penn State running backs fall so that I can tap them. Like, I just don't want to pay a price or premium, and 2.9 feels just expensive for Singleton. Yeah, when it comes to Trigg, he's getting projected round 3 draft capital. It's fine, but once again, this is a parallel thought to my tight end philosophy from earlier. Like, if you're drafting a tight end at the end of round 2 into round 3, these are projects. You have to let the investment grow. You cannot expect an Elijah Arroyo to be, or a Terrace Ferguson to be the immediate impact guys you want in year 1. You're going to have to wait for the Tyler Higbees or the AJ Barners to eventually move out of the way for you to see things happen in these offenses. So yeah, I'm if I want some tight end depth, or I'm in a 2 tight end league in Dynasty, sure, I'll tap just to get more assets at this spot and see if we can get some hits.
Love it. And Michael Trigg, just somebody who I'm watching, and I'm just beaming and overjoyed watching him ball out. A lot like I had with Omar Cooper, just in a different dimension, at a different position. Just that joy where you're in the presence of watching something special, in my opinion, some special traits. And we'll see what ends up happening, because there's raw development, and there's a reason, as you say, round 3 draft capital versus somebody like Kenyon Sadiq. So there are traits that are out there that the scouts are looking for. But round 3, I really love the Damon Claiborne pick. Grindberg, friend of the show, friend of Player Profiler. Love you, Grindberg.
Love you, Grindberg.
Damon Claiborne, if you miss on Emmett Johnson, I'm clear convinced that Damon Claiborne is who you want on your team. Just a very good running back, and he's got a little bit of that Devon Achane ability. 5'10", 197. He's got a burner sense, but Achane was a 4.32. We're hoping at the Combine with Claiborne we can get 4.4s. So we're not going to trick ourselves and say we think it's Achane, but we want stylistically some of that because you're diminutive. He's within an inch and a couple pounds of the size, stature, frame of Devon Achane is Claiborne. So I'm looking for pass catching drills, basics of a wheel route at the combine. I want to see displayed soft hands for him because he's not necessarily going to be the north-south bruiser that somebody like a Kyle Monangai might be, who you had astutely pointed out, over 700 rushing yards last year, very serviceable running back. But here we get somebody like Claiborne at 3-2, just a good spot for him, and I like him going in round 3. I do want to hear what you have to say about my pick, Malachi Fields.
Yes.
3-4. Okay, talk dirty. This is your round. I think this is your round 3.
This is my guy. This is my guy. Everywhere, every place. I'm taking shots on Malachi Fields. He's trending upwards. He's a physical freak. He's 6'4", 220. He's got speed, and I'm looking forward to seeing that hopefully displayed at the combine. Like, Malachi Fields can be a very special player, deep ball type of guy. You have to understand that Notre Dame, as a result of having Jeremiyah Love and Jadarian Price on the squad, they were running the snot out of the ball. So it really did open up like play action when CJ Carr was looking down the field. And who does he find? This massive, massive player. Coach, have I talked with you about my player comp for Malachi Fields?
You didn't say DK Metcalf, did you?
No, not DK Metcalf. That is not quite Metcalf.
Okay. What are we talking?
Chase Claypool.
Oh, yes, you did cover. And the physicality now, okay, Bradley, wouldn't you say because of what went on with Chase Claypool, the nonlinear and just the sinking path, people might think, hey, that's bad. But you're talking about the good traits, right?
That's what I'm saying is like we want spike week capability, and that's what Malachi Fields brings to the table. He's not going to command a 25% target share. He's not going to be the number one guy on the team. Claypool was not going to be the number one guy on Pittsburgh or Buffalo or wherever else he was going to play. But he was going to be a dynamic player with the ball in his hands, and teams just salivate over this. So you could see a double-digit touchdown season for Malachi Fields if he gets an 18 to 22% target share on a team. So, yeah, I'm the Notre Dame, the leprechaun's right on my shoulder. He's whispering to me, play Fields, draft Fields, get him in there. But there's reasons why. He's got the physicality. He proved it in college at the highest levels. We don't have concerns about that. Now we want to see it all translate in, the Underwear Olympics, right? That's coming up.
Yeah, you love to see it. And a guy like his size, Malachi Fields, if he can break 4.5, it's up. I mean, it's on site. We're ready for it. So that's really the excitement that comes.
He's projected round 3 draft capital. That's the other piece. Is it's not a Donta Thornton situation. Yeah. If we remember from last year, Donta Thornton, 6'5", could fly like the wind.
Yep.
But got round 4 draft capital. Malachi Fields is round 3, trending toward round 2.
Hey, if you can be top 100 players every single year draft capital wise, you just thought of the principle of you make the top 100. That's quality draft capital right there. There's a lot that happens in circumstances where there might be 40 to 50 players who might qualify to be a round 1 player, but maybe they have suspensions, character issues, injuries, or they're a little bit older. There's some dent in the can.
Right.
And we take advantage of that. Round 2, round 3. Hey, for Fields, it's the offensive style.
Yes.
But then we're seeing isolated events like the Senior Bowl, like the NFL Combine, where you can't hide it anymore. You have these skills on display. Now, going over to round 4, Bradley, I want to point out I really like impression Jamari Taylor 4.6 and Taylor Green at 4.7. I think back-to-back, those are great picks. Jamari Taylor, he's 5'9", 205, projecting a 4.39 40. I'm seeing that out there. 31 receptions, 43 receptions the last 2 seasons. So there's a lot of pass catching ability. It's very sneaky. My one critique is that Taylor kind of skips his feet sometimes instead of running north and south. But he has some ability here to really boost his stock. If these metrics can get hit from the speed, the agility, all of a sudden we might be shifting him up the board. Let's just put it this way. Jamari Taylor can make himself a lot more money at the NFL Combine. Early round 5 draft capital, but he's possibly somebody who can boost himself to round 4 and maybe an outside shot at the back end. You get those compensatory picks in round 3, might be an opportunity. And then Taylor Green, I got to say, Bradley, just a good opportunity for him because we want to see layered throw ability. 6'6", 229. He can do everything. He's a rushing quarterback. So those physical rushing traits for quarterbacks really is a disadvantage at the NFL Combine because you can't just break and run. The easy looks difficult and the difficult looks easy for Taylor Green. If we can see some of that on display, just for the opposite as far as making the easy look difficult, just the basic plays, some of the intermediate touch refinement that a quarterback would show, we want to see that for Taylor Green. But here he is at 4.7. I think those are two of the best value picks in round 4. Bradley, give us your impressions on round 4. What do you like about it?
Yeah, you mentioned Jamari Taylor. This is a player out of Virginia. 14 rushing touchdowns. And when I thought of Jamari Taylor, the player that came to mind was a heavier Bucky Irving. So, look, we know Bucky Irving did not get the draft capital, but he could catch passes. We could see, and again, if you don't get, that's actually why I kind of like the round 5, round 6 draft capital running backs, because, and even late round 4, you don't like the tweeners. You want the guys who have an elite trait. You like guys who are able to catch the passes, and Jamari Taylor was able to catch passes at Virginia. Pulling up his receiving data. I mean, he had 39 receptions on 49 targets. 80% catch rate. That's going to get it done. So look, I'm here for it. I like the call. And these are the types of players that you want to be targeting in round 4 or even round 5 of your rookie drafts, because all they need is 1 or 2 things to break right. Again, we think of like the Kyle Monangai situation where, you have DeAndre Swift, who is still the guy. But then you have a Roshan Johnson who hasn't done anything, and there's no reason for us to think anything else other than, maybe. But then you have Kyle Monangai. He has some elite traits. Didn't get the draft capital. He's going to have to work his way through. But these are the guys that you stash on your bench, you stash on your taxi squad, and you just let them ferment a little bit. You allow the percolation to happen. And the coffee grounds will bring you the energy late in the season for your fantasy football team to bring home the championship. That's how it works, Coach.
That's not even how the sausage is made. That's how the coffee is made. Speaking from 2 educators, we definitely know. Bradley and Coach, it's been a whole lot of fun. The NFL Combine's right around the corner. Make sure you're tapping in. Rookie sleepers and breakouts. My God, you watch the whole show. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Share with the friends who you're not fearful will beat you in your league, because I know you like to be, hey, I'm not going to give the good stuff away to my rival league mates. But, you got some fish out there that you could send it to who could really use the help. So do that for us. Give us a like and a subscribe. It goes a long way. Let us know what you think of this rookie draft. We will see you next week.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.